Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Robert Champion. I'm the site director here. We have some folks here that are in the meeting live, and got a lot of you online. Appreciate that you guys here are socially distancing, wearing our masks, and staying safe. Want to introduce, we also got Jennifer Bowling Masterson. She's the program manager here for Boeing, and Ron Daly, who is the program manager for on-site services with S3. I've asked both of them to join me here this morning so we can give you some discussion. And mainly what I want to talk about is kind of the COVID environment we're in right now. And I also want to talk a little bit about the recent social unrest, as well as the stress that's putting on the workforce, and our focus on safety and how safety is important at the site. So to get started, I think we have a video we're going to show, and I'd like to go ahead and roll that right now. A little bit of a reminder about what we're doing here.
Marshall's new Michoud operations, 14 miles east of New Orleans, rehabilitation and modification of the $50 million facility with almost 43 acres of usable area under one roof. Michoud is one of the nation's largest single-floor buildings.
So I wanted to show that video again because, as we said, it's been a little while since we saw the rollout, but there's a lot of history here at Michoud, and you are part of that. I say it many times, and people don't even realize it, that we get to space. NASA gets through space by going through New Orleans. All launch vehicles that NASA has put man on have gone through New Orleans, all the way back from Saturn through Shuttle, and now the Artemis. So what I want to impress upon you is the importance of what we're doing here, and the fact that what we're doing here will change the world, if you would, and also will make an impact on human space flight and what we discover. We're here to go back to the moon, go on to Mars, and those are some pretty important goals that we have set for us. We have some 3,500 people here on site. Aaron, if you would go forward 2 charts, please. I want to show. We're a group of partners here on site. We have Boeing, Lockheed, S3, Northrop Grumman as a lot of our aerospace prime contractors, but we have a number of other tenants on site, the U.S. Coast Guard, USDA. We have a lot of some of our commercial partners that are here on site with us. And it's important that we all understand the role we play between the way we deal with COVID, the way we deal with safety. And so what I want to talk about a little bit here is, just that. We are a multi-tenant facility, but as one, we need to be protective and be positive about what we're doing against COVID. I want to ask Ron and Jennifer, they can talk a little bit about it too, but for us, I think it is important that we realize that we are part of the community, New Orleans and the larger area, and what we do outside of work impacts us here at work. and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I wanted to let Ron talk a little bit about, what the process that S3 does with building the rocket and the importance that they play in the rocket factory. So.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Robert for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. And there's some folks who are here. We thank you for coming face to face, but we also have many people who are online. In particular, I want to give a shout out to the S3 employees who are working from home, who aren't able to be here on site. We appreciate the efforts you're doing through teleworking, as well as the contractors we've invited to participate. Their safety reps as well as their management. So if you guys are on, we appreciate you joining us. And a couple of comments just about what we're doing from an S3 perspective, and then some comments on just the community we have here. First, as most people know, we are working very hard to keep the site clean and sanitized. And so for those who are working on site, we have sanitization efforts in addition to the normal routine cleaning. And if there is ever a specific incident where you need help, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know, and we'll get that taken care of as well. But between the cleaning, the sanitizing, the wearing of masks, the social distancing, washing of hands, we're doing all we can to keep MAF safe, and each of us is a part of that. And I'd like to take you back to February 7th, 2017. For those who were here, you have some very distinct memories when I give that date. For those of you who weren't here, that was the date that the tornado hit the site. And what we saw in that moment was a community of NASA, Boeing, S3, Coast Guard, and other tenants come together to handle a very real danger on the site. So we had to have quick reaction, and that required focus. It required focus in the moment in how to respond for your personal safety, because you had to seek shelter while you were on site. And then afterward, it required focus on how we work together across boundaries to get the site reopened. And then as you have seen years later, it has taken focus on capital projects to replace a lot of the things that were damaged during that time. To me, that time was very surreal, just unimaginable that a tornado, not a hurricane, a tornado, would hit the site in New Orleans, and yet it did. And what we have during this time is just as surreal, with a COVID response situation that none of us could have imagined. But in many respects, it requires the same thing. It requires a focus on our own personal safety, our own personal wellness, and also working together to continue to meet the mission. And that is of utmost importance. And whether you go all the way back to Katrina or whether you go to the tornado, time and time again, this community here at Michoud has shown that they're up to the challenge. And so, again, in this moment, we ask you to just join with us in paying attention to your personal safety, ensuring that you're looking out for your coworker, wear your mask, not only for your own protection, but for their protection. Wash your hands frequently and use the sanitizer that's out. We really appreciate that. And again, coming through this all together, we can have a clean and safe work environment. So with those comments, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer and let her speak some.
Good morning, everyone. I'm short. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody. We are in times that we've never experienced before. And everyone that I see is wearing their PPEs properly. They have them on, they're social distancing, they're washing their hands, they're using the sanitizers. Every tenant here is doing additional deep cleaning. And what that's gonna allow us to do is to continue to keep this area safe. Do you guys remember how we all felt when we rolled out in January, the first core stage? That energy. It took a team, not just a Boeing team, but a NASA team, an S3 team, a Lockheed team. Every tenant here helped build that rocket in some way, indirectly or directly. And we need to continue that. And with these times, lots of things are on our minds with what's going on with the world, but we together can overcome all of the obstacles that we've had because of our family here at MAF, because we truly are a family, and families achieve the most. And so I want to first off say thank you very much. And how do we continue that? That social distancing, the PPE, the cleaning. That's what's going to get us to the future and our mission. We all understand our mission of what we're trying to accomplish. We need to keep the energy up. We need to be looking out, like Ron said, each other, help each other out. The other day, I went out on the shop floor. I totally forgot my safety glasses because I was thinking about something else. Someone said, "Hey, Jennifer, your safety glasses." I went, "Oh my gosh, thank you for looking out for me. I'm going and getting them right now." Stopped everything I did. We need to help each other out because we got a lot on our minds. We need to keep being safe. Right now, our core stage is up at Stennis. The team is doing a great job. They finished their 3rd green run test, getting ready to do the 4th, which is a great milestone. We need to get that completed so it can go down to the Cape. Right now, here in the facility, we are doing some great jobs on core stage 2. We've got each of the areas in an integration type format. So we're adding wire harnesses and tubes and stuff like that in each of the sections. So great progress, and the only way we can continue to make that progress is working together. So again, thank you for all your hard work. For those who are teleworking, thank you too, because I know when we were all shut down, that teleworking is very difficult. And it's hard, and you seem to be at the computer all the time, even though you're past your 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever you work. Thank you to you all, because together we are going to achieve our mission. Thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate the comments they said about COVID. I mean, guys, this is tough. This is difficult. I mean, you know, this time last year we were all blowing and going here in the factory with, you know, probably 1,500 people going in that, and we're a lot reduced from that right now, but we're still making progress. I think it is a tremendous compliment and a credit to the team here that we're able to still continue work on Artemis 2, Artemis 3, and we'll continue to do all the CFF projects that we were able to work on. You might not be aware of it, but we've got a group today that are looking at the roof rebuild. We're replacing the roof, and so they're looking at, it's actually out for bid now. We're working to get the contracts closed, but after some 70 years of this original roof, which was built back in World War II, we're going to start getting this first half, the top half of this roof replaced, and that'll hopefully solve a lot of our leaks and those things that we've been having. But if you haven't noticed over this past year, there have been a lot of CFF improvements we've made. If you go back down to the back side of the factory and some of these areas over here, you'll notice the lighting is improved. The floor behind you has been refinished. There's a number, we're redoing building 110, 114 with the siding on that. A lot of the parking areas have been improved. We've put lighting up in the parking areas. We've repaved the parking areas, improved the drainage around the site. We've totally replaced all the turnstiles that are here. And that bathroom is going to be finished by December. So we're going to have that bathroom finished. They're well on the way on construction of it. But to me, that shows a commitment on the Marshall's Space Flight Center's part, as well as the SLS program part, to improve the facility and make it better and make it more inviting to the customers, to the people working here, and make it safer as well. So a lot about just saying we got a good factory here. We've got a good job. We got something that we can tell our kids about and our grandparents and our grandkids about that we helped put the first woman and the next man on the moon. And that's something that you don't always get to do in your career, but we're working that. We're pressing hard, as Jennifer said. They're finishing tests. They're doing the green run test over at Stennis. That will be shipped later this year. And then later next year, we're going to launch that. And so we will have the first Artemis 1 up and going. All right. So where we're at now, let me talk a little bit about the COVID situation we're in. You probably all heard Governor John Bell Edwards made a mandate to wear a mask, and I appreciate y'all wearing a mask. He also gave dispensation that I can talk up here without my mask. And that's if you're presenting, so that's one thing. So anyway, but I do wear my mask otherwise. They are required on site now. That's just another precaution we're taking. As what we found out is you guys are doing an outstanding job on site of protecting the people on site. We have active, when somebody shows up sick, they call their supervisor, they're advised to stay home. We start tracing to see if they get tested. If they're positive, we start tracing. We're tracing that throughout the site, cross companies. So if one company has somebody that comes in contact with another company, we do that tracing. We have done an amazing job of not spreading COVID on site. I can't really think, there might have been one early on, but in the last 2 or 3 months, we haven't had a case of where COVID came on site and was spread on site. We've had a number of cases where people might have come in contact outside and outside of work. They got sick, they maybe tested positive, but they notified us and we kept them isolated. So we're doing an excellent job on site. What I want to stress is that we have a social responsibility off-site. Every person has a personal responsibility off-site to maintain that social distancing, to wear your mask off-site, to avoid large social gatherings, to avoid large family gatherings, which are, widespread family, larger family. Your immediate family that's in your house, understand that, but family reunions. Me personally, we have a family reunion that's been going on since 1955 out in the farm at my great-grandfather's place, and we haven't missed one since 1955. We have canceled that family reunion this year because it has 100 people coming from all over the country. Those things are necessary that we do those things. We have to take this seriously in everything we're doing. We're still in stage 3 as far as the NASA response, which means we're not in a shutdown mode. We're working, but there is still limited access, or you have to get approval for access to come on site. We were about to go to stage 2 and already made the pitch to go to stage 2, which would have opened us up anymore. And then the social unrest, 4th of July, Labor Day, all of those in the summer, all of those hit, and we got a lot more interaction of people. Some of the states started opening up things, and that let more people get more interaction. All of that combined into what we see now is a spike or an increase. And so we've put a halt on going to stage 2 at this point. And if we maintain the state we're in, we will stay at stage 3. So I appreciate everyone's cooperation and participation in that. Teleworking. Teleworking is tough. We've introduced a lot of the Teams meetings and other things, and I know other companies are doing other topics, other platforms as well. But you still don't get that same interaction you do if you're face to face. You can't just walk down the hall and ask your coworker a question. You have to schedule a time and call it up. So even though it's working, we understand it's less efficient. We understand it's more stressful. And if you're at home, you got your kids running around, you got to deal with that too. So it's not as efficient and it's not as effective, and it's more stressful for you at home, and we understand and appreciate that. That being said, I have no set date as to when we're going to come out of this. I fully expect we're going to be in some form of telework, reduced on-site presence, social distancing, hand washing, mask, some form of that, probably through the end of the year. So let that sink in. We've probably got another 4 or 5 months of some level of this before we really get back to normalcy. And even then, it probably won't be fully normal until we have a vaccine for this. So we need to think about that and prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally for dealing in this situation for the next several months. Along that line, we have a employee assistance program that we have on site that you can call or telecommute with them and talk through any issues you might want to have. But that is available. It's on our MAF info, and it's on MAF Space too, if you want to take advantage of that opportunity. What makes us go to the next stage? We have to have 14 days of consecutive downtrend in positive cases. Right now, we've had about 2 weeks of consecutive positive cases. Aaron, would you pop up probably about the 5th or 6th slide, or on down? I want to show you some data. This was data as of yesterday. And I know there's a lot of discussion about the data, but some of it is pretty obvious, and you can debate some of the other, but this is fairly obvious. So one thing to keep in mind, if you're going to come on site or if you have any health changes, you need to talk to your supervisor. Get approval to come on site, make sure, because we're keeping a daily count. We're keeping a daily track of the number of people on site so that if we have to do any tracing, we kind of know what's going on. Can't see it on this screen. It might have panned off. But basically what it's showing is back during the April time frame when New Orleans had the huge spike and then we dropped right back down. Well, we're seeing another spike now, if you would look. So we're seeing a pretty good spike in positive cases. However, the death rate has maintained pretty flat. But it's interesting to see that the people most affected by this are in the 50 and above. By far, of the 3,300 deaths that have occurred in the state of Louisiana, well over 3,000 of them are in 50 and above. Most of our NASA workforce is in that age range. We span a bit, but we still have a lot of us that are in that 50 and above. So when we're wearing masks, you're protecting your coworker, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your mother and your father and your aunt or uncle or your kids' grandparents, you're protecting them. So when I talk about being socially responsible, that's what I mean, is that we have the age range under 50. They're the highest percentage of people that are getting positive results with COVID, but they're affecting the older group that are actually suffering the deadly consequences of COVID. So not to dwell on it, but just I want you to understand the impact that you yourself can have overall in protecting yourself, myself, your spouse, your children, your parents, aunts and uncles from getting COVID and having tragic consequences as part of it. So we talked about, somebody called out Jennifer for not having her glasses on. I want you to know that if you see people that have forgotten their mask or whatever, in a polite way, but remind them we're requiring masks to be worn on site now. That being said, I know there are times when it's not, you can't communicate with the mask on, talking over machines, that sort of thing. There's times when you have to maybe take a mask off, but make those limited. What I ask is that you follow the spirit of the request and the intent of the request, but be safe in doing so. I know with this temperature outside right now, with soaring to 108, 110, 15 degrees, operating outside, it's difficult to breathe sometime, and I appreciate that. But please be safe to the extent you can. Now, so you see the chart. We've talked about it, but you can basically, the one in the upper left, you can see we're in another spike as far as positive tests. I don't think there's any denying that. It's just we need to know that's there and be aware of it and deal with it. Go to the next chart. One of the things that we're asking each employee to do, and this is a personal responsibility, is there is a checklist basically, and we'll be putting this up on the doors to remind everybody, but we're asking you if every morning, if you check your own temperature, do you have any issues with headaches, coughs, sore throats, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell, muscle pain, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting or diarrhea. If you have any of those symptoms, we're asking you to call your supervisor and advise them of that before you come into work. It says if you have that, don't come into work. Now, you need to talk to your supervisor, and I know each company's handling that a little bit different, but these are pretty much the guidelines from CDC about how we're supposed to address this. If you've been in contact with somebody that you know has been diagnosed with COVID, you need to call your supervisor and let them know. If you've traveled internationally within the last 14 days, you need to call your supervisor and let them know. There are responses we have to this. If you're positive, if you test positive, there's a certain response. If you've been exposed to somebody, there's a certain response. And each company has their own policy. We've got one from NASA that kind of hopefully encompasses most of those. But I just want to stress with you the personal responsibility we have to take care of ourselves to protect the on-site here. And like I said, we're doing a good job, guys, here on site. We're doing a very good job of not spreading it. But what I worry about is is you at home and your families at home. I've already heard of several people that have had family members that have passed away due to COVID. We had one good report this morning. One of our coworkers, their mother has recovered from COVID. She was in the hospital and elderly, and she recovered. So that was a praise there. But there's not always that same response. So I know this COVID is an extreme distraction. There's no getting around it. It's stressful. It makes us wear other PPE that we're not used to. That hinders our job somewhat. It causes us to lose focus on the job we're doing possibly. I'm getting a little echo up here now. But the other part I want to move into is talking about safety here on site. We appreciate that everyone quickly, accurately, and fully reports any safety instance we have. There is no punishment for having a safety instance. I want you to be aware of that and be clear on that. When we report that, we're looking to see what we can do the next time to mitigate that, fix something, put something in place so that it doesn't happen again. I don't want anybody ever to feel threatened or I don't know, anxious or cautious about reporting a safety instance. That's the only way we improve. So make that clear up front. That being said, we've had 9 instances in the last 2 weeks. Looking back at it, we've had a cluster of instances. I will say though, looking back at the data, it's not from year to year. We're not that much higher than we were in the year past, but that being said, 2 are too many. 2 are too many. But we're on the path of having a cluster right here. What concerns me is that with COVID, with concern about jobs, with concern about the industry in New Orleans, and you might have family members that are not as lucky as us, that are not employed right now, that are working and are having to stay home, and so there's added stress there. We know your children are at home. They're questioning where they're going back to school. All that said, there is a lot of distraction and a lot of stress, and all of that is very valid. What I'm asking you to do is, while you're here, we need to find a way that we can focus and not let that cause additional stress by you getting hurt on the job. My main concern is that we wind up having somebody that gets hurt and doesn't go home as healthy as they were when they got here. Yes, we got an expensive rocket, we got expensive hardware, the building and all that, but the far and foremost is that your health. And it's important that we not have anybody get hurt. I was here back in 2010 through 14 when we had accidents that led to fatalities, and I don't want to go through that again. It's an extremely bad day for everybody, and it's an extremely bad day for that family that lost their loved one that didn't get to come home that afternoon. So I'm imploring you, as best we can, focus on the work when you're here. I know that's easily said and hard to do, but we have to find a way to focus on the work while we're here, because it is important that you not get hurt, that you not put additional stress on your family by you being incapacitated in some way. I've asked Ron to come up and talk about some of the things that we're doing to help focus on safety, and I'd ask Jennifer too. She has comments along that line. But I'd ask you to ask Ron to come back up maybe and talk a little bit more about that. And we're going to go about 45 minutes, and then we're going to have questions. So we'll have questions from the audience as well as online. So if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them.
Thank you, Robert. As Robert mentioned, we have had 9 close calls, and 9 close calls means that we've had 9 situations to where an incident could have happened that caused injury or damage to the facility or to flight hardware. And so those close calls are merely indications and opportunities to improve our safety and our performance. The close calls have been across the tenant base, it's been across the contractor base, and it really is just an opportunity for us to share the message again. We understand all of the distractions that are going on right now. And we understand that there are many and folks getting pulled in different ways, whether it be your children in their school situation, whether it be what's going on in society, whether it's COVID. But what we do ask is when we're here on site and working, that we stay focused in the moment. We have tools in place, and they're called different things for different companies. But number one is to have a safe plan of action. And in S3 parlance, it's literally called a safe plan of action or a SPA. Take those things seriously. Think through the risks for the work that you're doing. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? And do I have the PPE in place? Do I have the barricades in place? Do I have the plans in place to avoid the worst that could happen? That is the number one thing that we can do here as a community. And regardless of whether you call it a job hazard analysis, a SPA, whatever you call it, take those seriously and make sure that the team, not an individual, fills it out, but the team engages in a conversation about what the risk is and do you have all of the protective equipment that you need in place. That is number one, and we really appreciate the attention to that. I would emphasize that safe plans of action are also useful at home. So in other words, if you have travel plans, as Robert mentioned earlier, plans to meet with family, ask yourself, what is my plan to get there, to lodge there, and to get home in a safe and healthy manner? So you can apply these tools at home as well. Lastly, I would mention that, again, we do have stop work authority here at Michoud. And so if you see something or you're engaged in work that you're uncomfortable with that might put you or others at risk, please engage the stop work authority and talk to your supervisor, talk to a manager, and we'll get that situation resolved. So it's important for every individual to understand they have stop work authority. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer for some more comments, and thank you for your time.
Jennifer said ditto to what Ron said. So, and me too. I absolutely want to enforce and just let you know, stop work authority is absolutely everyone's responsibility. It's not an option if you see. Let me put it this way: it's not an option if you see something wrong to say, well, maybe they'll see it. It's your responsibility to say, no, stop. Let's fix this. Do not think that you're going to embarrass the person by saying, hey, whatever, where's your safety harness, or where are your safety glasses? Do not think don't worry about embarrassing them. It's their safety, it's their life. You don't want to be the one that didn't say something and then somebody winds up hurt. So please, if you see something that's wrong, that's not proper, that's not following procedures, please ask the person to stop and let's reevaluate that. I'll tell you, just as a little bit of a light note, I have collected a variety of masks now. This is one I'll advertise or selling on NASA Exchange. A couple of versions of that. This is one my girlfriend made me, which is a shrimp. Yeah, and I just announced that. So anyway, I wonder if she's watching. Cajun shrimp boil, crawfish, jambalaya. And then we also have some of these mouth goes green ones. And then there's the always, which I keep hearing are better than you might think. I was telling somebody earlier that was maybe a question in the value of masks, and all I can say is every surgery I've been in, the doctors and nurses are wearing masks when they're operating on me, so there must be some value to them, okay? So I'll leave it at that. I would say, so what do we want to do from here? Just reiterate again, guys. I want each one of you to go home safe. I want each one of you to be healthy and productive. I want you to be happy with your job. I want this facility to be safe for you to work in. NASA is committed, I forget, Keith, how many millions, on the order of, well, tens of millions, I'll just say that, this year alone, that we've been making improvements to the facility in various areas. We've got plans for elevator upgrades, which I know will make folks happy in 110 and 114. We've got plans for remodeling additional restrooms. We've got plans for doing additional repairs to the facility and various other areas. Along with, we've got extensive plans to modify the facility to accommodate the factory of the future. Right now, we're sized to build about one every other year. We're working so that we can, capacity-wise, build 2 a year of the core stages. And we're also working to build the EUSs, the Exploration Upper Stage, which is a new program. That's going to go, most of it will be built in this gray box right here behind us. So there's a lot of activity going on, and probably not as, might not get that information out as much as I should, but this is a very active facility. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we got Lockheed is building the Orion capsule. We got Northrop Grumman over here building the Omega A rocket, their upper stage for that. We got Boeing building the upper stage for the SLS and then the core stage for the SLS. And a number of other companies. LM Wind Power out here building wind blades. Coast Guard is protecting our borders. USDA doing the National Finance Center work and have continued doing that very effectively from telework. I talked to Calvin and Michael, the managers for USDA, and they're continuing to do that. That's making sure the paychecks get to the people that are continue doing the work. So I'll just say, as we said, there's a governor's proclamation about wearing masks. We're going to follow the local and state laws, and we're doing that. I have this return to work plan and safe at work plan that we have completed. We're going to be sending that out to the tenants, the leadership, and there might be some modifications depending on the companies, but in general, it's pretty solid. Like I say, I'll just sum back up. I know this is all different than what we're used to, and there's been so much change recently, in addition to the civil unrest and the tragic deaths that we've seen portrayed in the news. And I ask everybody to review and study and search in your heart as to what is right. I know I'm appalled by the recent events. And I'll just say, I know from NASA management and leadership, from headquarters on down, that we don't tolerate it, and we won't tolerate it. And there's no place for it. I'll just say that. I'd like to open it up for questions now. I don't know, Aaron, we had some maybe from online, and anybody here in the audience, do they need a mic or any, just shout them out? Aaron, you lead it, what we're doing. Anybody here have a question? Go ahead and raise your hand. Yes, sir. Thank you, very good question. I sent the note back out to the tenant leadership. Yes, sorry. Question was about, sorry if I couldn't hear it. Question was about with working outdoors and with the heat index, what's the rule or the guidelines on wearing a mask versus not wearing a mask? I do not want anybody to stroke out from heat in this 115, 120 degree heat index. That said, when you can work and you can social distance, more than the 6 feet, what we're guiding as far as for contact tracing is if you've been in contact with somebody closer than 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, and that varies. Some folks do 10, some folks do less. But if you're within 6 feet of somebody, with or without a mask, you're potentially exposed. So that's the guidance I've got, is that, yes, I want you to be safe. If you have to take your mask off to communicate, like we pretty much did there for a little bit, take your mask off so you can safely communicate to somebody. If you're out there, and some of these are better than others. This right here, that's why I wear it over some of these heavier cloth masks. I can breathe through this one a lot better. Now, I'm not working on the roof, granted. But I would ask you to follow the intent of the law, and the intent of the requirement, the intent of the policy, and the spirit of it, but be safe. So I realize you're going to have to take your mask off to breathe sometimes. So do what you need to be safe, but realize you're exposing others if you're within 6 feet. So that's all the guidance I can give. Ron, Jennifer, Ron.
And thanks for asking that question, because we've had that discussion already this morning and yesterday. And the clarification is very clear from the standpoint, if you're doing manual labor, particularly outside, to where you have a greater safety risk caused by wearing the mask than you do without it, and you have social distancing, that is a place to where it would be acceptable and safer to work without the mask. But we do ask that you keep in mind the social distancing rule, because particularly in labor, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 folks to lift something. These situations, we need to try to put the masks on in that moment, do the lift, separate, and then take the mask off, and try to limit the time that we're within 6 feet and don't have a mask. So that's the intent that Robert's talking about. I just want to clarify that. And again, if you've got further questions or more specific examples, please feel free to get with us on the S3 side, and we'll go through the specific examples with our safety department. So thanks again.
Any other questions here? Any questions? Jennifer? Aaron?
So online, we had the question of how is everybody else at the facility handling it, and how does that match how math is handling COVID and the requirements?
I think from everything I've seen, everybody is at least doing what NASA is doing or better. Boeing has been wearing masks for the past month or so since they came back, and and LM Wind Power has been wearing masks for the month back. What we had up until this point was that if you're socially distanced by 6 feet, you don't have to wear a mask. We've changed that now so that everybody's wearing a mask. We've had a couple of companies have completely not come back on site. They've just have closed down their operations here on site and not come back. We've had, even though we've gone back to stage 3, USDA has pretty much, they only have about 30 or 40 people on any given day here versus their 1,200 people they have off-site teleworking. So I would say almost to a company, it's meeting or exceeding the NASA guidelines. So I think everybody is working well and participating and trying to keep the site safe. And I'll say it's effective from the results. We have not had a COVID cluster, if you would, or a spread on site. Other question, Aaron?
We also had, and I'm going to ask you to kind of repeat the question for those online. If someone does self-identify as positive or they are quarantining, how are you doing any tracing or alerting people that they may have been in contact with someone?
All right. The question is, if we have somebody exposed on site, how do we do the tracing? The difference here is exposure is one thing, positives are another, or presumptive positives. A presumptive positive is somebody that's displaying symptoms, hasn't gotten a test result back maybe. A positive person is somebody that has gotten a positive test result back for COVID. And then you have people that have been exposed. This is happening a lot. You go to a restaurant, you find out 2 days later the restaurant shut down because somebody had COVID. Question is, were you exposed? The assumption is you're exposed until you find out different. And so when you're exposed, if you've been exposed to somebody that is positive for COVID, we're requiring that you have a 14-day quarantine. You get a test. And, in most cases, folks will try to get a test for their own benefit to see if they're positive or not. If you are positive, you're required to be minimum 14-day quarantine, and you have to have negative test to come back to work. And so that's explained in this procedure, but we're taking everything, and then the questions about tracing as well. We started out, the CDC had, if you're within 6 feet of somebody for a total of 6 minutes, that's a close contact. They have since changed that. If you're within 6 feet of somebody for 15 minutes now, that's considered a close contact. So when we have somebody that is positive for COVID, that has come on site, we immediately do a tracing. And the company starts that, and they check to see who they were in contact with. We check times where they And if it will err on the side of caution, you know, if they were with somebody for 10 minutes, that's 5 minutes, that's probably good enough. But you check that contact then, and then we're also asking the companies to tell us where they were at. Were they in the cafeteria? Which restrooms? Which turnstiles did they use? So that we can go back and clean those additional. Now, keep in mind, we're cleaning all of these, disinfecting all of these high traffic areas every day. Ron and S3 have done a great job of stepping that up and doing that. So then we give that information of the contacts that they were with, the places they were at, and if there are interactions with other companies, we share that with the other companies. Try not to make too much duplicative effort of everybody just doing tracing without any need to, but we are very aggressive, and I've worked with Jennifer on this, and I've worked with Ron too, about if they have people that are interacting. For instance, if we have a Boeing employee and they're working with DCMA, we're very conscious about that to make sure if there were any interactions there, or a NASA or an S3 employee. Early on, we had one employee that we overdid it. They were exposed, and we wound up cleaning a lot of stuff, you know, and we've learned better about that, what is really necessary, and really what is even effective. If the person is not positive, you don't trace the second and third person that might have come in, third order person that might have come in contact with them. You trace the immediate contacts that were in contact with a positive person. Quarantining, we get them tested, and then if they wind up coming back positive, then we do a tracing at that point. But we're only tracing for the positives. So, Aaron? Other questions?
Last one from online. How are we handling conferences and meetings on site?
Conferences and meetings on site. Well, we're not giving any tours right now. Meetings on site, if there are official visits required, like today, we're out for bid on the roof. We have a group of some folks that are here. They're socially distancing. They're required to wear a mask. They're required to have hand sanitizer available with them. They're not gathering in groups, and they're staying socially distanced. So they are here on an official visit. That's one thing we're doing. We're not holding conferences. We've turned down a couple of conferences that were, a lot of folks want to come see the factory. Well, obviously this isn't the time to do that. We've canceled tours as well. So we're asking that the various partners do the same. You know, we don't want to obviously bring in some outside influence and then have them spread COVID around. That would be really defeat the purpose. So that's we're really limiting and only for official visits right now is what we're restricting down to. Jennifer? Aaron?
Anybody else?
Other questions? Had a question this morning about face masks, face shields. CDC's position on that is face shields are great in addition to face masks. They are not a substitute for face masks. So even the ones, and I'll have to go back and look now because you go out and you see folks wearing a face shield with no mask. Well, that's not per CDC what's acceptable. You can wear a face shield with a mask, but you can't just wear a face shield. That being said, there are exceptions if you have health conditions or other things that do not allow you to wear a mask. So that's one question I got this morning. Gyms are still closed. Cafeterias grab and go, and they got hot food, but it's still socially distanced in there. Let's see. Ron, Jennifer, anything else we've missed or we need to talk on? All right. Any other questions, Aaron? We don't have to drag it out. I just want to make sure that you heard from us. Okay. Well, we'll just sum it up and saying I do appreciate your time and your attention to this. NASA is taking this very seriously. Your health is our main concern. And so we want to work with you. If you have questions or things or suggestions that come up, let us know. Always wanting to find new ideas and new ways of doing things. I will say some of the things that have come up, we're pursuing had a company have these atomizing backpacks that have the PPE compliant, the sanitizer in it, that we can go in and pretty much do a much better cleaning of like the door handles and those things. It electrostatically cleans to the handles, so it disinfects it better even than wiping it down. So things like that, we're doing improvements which are more effective and more thorough than we've done before, so we're continually working on that. Everybody should have access to, at least on the S3, the Boeing, the NASA side, have access to masks. I know Boeing is providing theirs. We're providing them for S3. So there's sanitizer at all the doors. There should be no issue with you having access to sanitizer. We even had some of these, I carry a personal sanitizer with me to help out along the way. I'd recommend you doing that. So with that, I think we'll close out. Thank you for your time and attendance, and please be safe and be careful out there, both at work and especially at home. So thank you very much and appreciate your attendance.